Napoleon III is in charge, and it's time to celebrate. So France is going to celebrate with a World's Fair. The government is going to hold a contest. Who's going to win that contest? Spoiler alert, it's Gustave Eiffel, and I'm so glad he did.
Enchanted.
Picture this. It's the mid-19th century. There are 2 factories in France, and they are creating 40% of the country's iron. Napoleon III is in charge. There is more demand for coal than ever. There are more advances in the production of coal than ever. There are more trains. There are more technology. There are more machines creating more horsepower than ever. Maybe you could say business is booming. I don't know how to say that in French. But let's just say business is booming. Napoleon III is in charge, and it's time to celebrate. So France is going to celebrate with a World's Fair. The government is going to hold a contest. Who's going to win that contest? Spoiler alert, it's Gustave Eiffel, and I'm so glad he did. There was a World's Fair in 1855, 1867, and now they're ramping up for another one to celebrate the 100-year anniversary of the French Revolution. And ironically, that's what we're celebrating today. This podcast is being launched on the anniversary, Bastille Day, France's national holiday. And we are celebrating with the launch of the Paris with Angela podcast. My name is Angela. I have been online for the better part of 20 years as Parisian Farm Girl. Perhaps you follow my Parisian Farm Girl YouTube channel or my other podcast, Homemaker Chic, or the Parisian Farm Girl blog, which has been around just forever. This is my brand new baby, and I am here to tell you everything that you need to know about getting ready for your trip to Paris. Or maybe you're just a Francophile and you can't get enough of French culture, just like me. So welcome to the Paris with Angela podcast, whether you're listening and watching on Spotify, watching on YouTube, listening on Google Play, iTunes, etc. This brand new podcast can be heard anywhere that you listen to podcasts, and it can be watched on Spotify and YouTube. Of course, I'd love a review if you're following on YouTube. I'd love for you to subscribe to the channel, no matter if you just got back or you're not going to go for another 20 years. If you are a Francophile, I think you will very much enjoy everything that we've got to say. So there's a World Fair coming in 1889. The government is having a contest. Gustave Eiffel is going to win it. He's going to win this contest because he set out to create the Eiffel Tower with a practical application. It was built only to stand for 20 years, but he employed wind resistance experiments, and of course, we all know that it was used as a radio tower. So he won out. Now, the general reaction of the public was pretty poor. They really didn't like this tower, but eventually they come around. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. The timeline of the tower was that groundbreaking took place in January of 1887. And here are the nerd numbers for you. There are over 18,000 metallic parts. There were 5,300 workshop designs, 50 engineers and designers, 150 workers in the factory, and between 150 and 300 construction workers on site. 2,500,000 rivets, 7,300 tons of iron, 60 tons of paint, 5 elevators to make this happen. And in all, it took 2 years, 2 months, and 5 days of construction. There's a fabulous movie, not 100% historically accurate, but there's a fabulous movie about the building of the tower. I think it's called Eiffel. And while they might have taken some liberties with the romantic aspects of the movie, to see the tower actually being constructed is incredible. Everything that they had to do with water in the earth, and just it is amazing if you're into physics and engineering, I think you might really, really enjoy this movie. So the challenges that were faced were things like the wind resistance and the innovative use of wrought iron. The public response was that they thought it was an eyesore. But as I said, Eiffel really defended his creation, and he defended it as a scientific laboratory for meteorology and astronomy. And it was intended to be dismantled after its 20-year permit expired. As we know, that didn't happen. It is the #1 tourist destination in the world today, 2024. Now, flash forward to World War II. We've got Hitler on the prowl. He wants to climb that Eiffel Tower and hang the Nazi flag from it. So what did they do? They cut the cables to the lifts. I love that. Sadly, they did make it to the top. They hung a huge Nazi flag. It was blown away in the wind, and they had to hang a smaller one in its place. Boo-hoo for them. During the war, the tower did serve as a radio telegraph station, which is fantastic. The cultural implications of the tower cannot be overstated. It's featured in countless movies. It is literally the #1 tourist destination in the world. And so if you're watching or listening to this show today with wanting to go there, you are not alone. Today, the tower is so loved. While past Parisians may have wanted to tear it down or considered it a faux pas, today it is so loved that Parisians seek it out as a view from their apartments. And of course, tourists seek it out as a view from their hotel. If you watch the show French Agency on Netflix, you will see multi-millionaire house hunters always requesting a view with a monument, and a view with the Eiffel Tower. A view of the Eiffel Tower is primo. Now, the name Eiffel Tower, of course, entered the common vernacular, the common language at the time of its inauguration, but its feminine nature appeared gradually over time. Yes, the word tower in French is feminine, but this affection for it as a structure grew gradually over time. And if we add a little bit of anthropomorphism, we can see why. We've got a structure with 4 legs, clearly what looks like a skirt, some beautiful lacy detail. As a symbol of the arrival of iron and industry, the Eiffel Tower can be seen as one of the women of Paris, and then you have Notre Dame, Our Lady, as another. In the 1930s, when the Eiffel Tower was just 50 years old, various nicknames started to appear in the press and publications. The tall lady, the tall beautiful lady, the tall iron lady, and sometimes remarking on her age, coming up on 50, which is kind of scary, the old iron lady. However, it was simply the Iron Lady which stuck, but for most of us, she is La Tour Eiffel, or the Eiffel Tower. And now let's talk about you visiting. There are several types of tickets that allow for you to visit the Eiffel Tower. There are tickets by elevator or stairs. The Eiffel Tower includes access to all floors, including the first floor, the second floor, and the summit. Some recommend purchasing tickets in advance, of course, to avoid the long lines and guarantee a spot. So from the Eiffel Tower website, here are some things to consider. There are 5 different types of tickets. Tickets for the stairs to the second floor, for the elevator to the second floor, for the stairs to the second floor, plus an elevator to the top, which is called the summit. Priority e-tickets are recommended for elevator access as they provide a timed slot to avoid lines. E-tickets can be purchased up to 60 days in advance and may also be available up to 3 hours before your visit on the day of your visit. But booking in advance allows you time to skip the lines, buy those tickets, get through security. There are different entrances used for the different types of tickets. The east entrance is used for hosted access and purchase of tickets in advance. The south pillar is used for tickets that include the stairs or stairs and elevator access. And I will say, if you're feeling adventurous, it's really fun to take the stairs. You cannot take the stairs all the way to the summit. You can take the stairs to the second floor. It's really not that bad. If you've been, preparing for your trip, if you're someone who exercises or can handle a lot of stairs and you want the challenge, I would say take the stairs. If you have not purchased tickets in advance, there's never a line for the stairs. The lift can get a little crowded and the lines can get a little crazy, but that's just my opinion. I've taken the stairs with my husband and my children, and we met the challenge. We were pretty proud. The West Pillar can be used by visitors with disabilities and for purchasing tickets to the very top. Ticket prices vary on the age of the visitor and the ticket type, so be sure to check the Eiffel Tower's website for full detail, and I will link that below in the show notes. Now, we are talking about the #1 tourist destination in the world, so the best time to visit is early in the morning, and you need to be prepared for security checks, including baggage checks. Now, if you are looking for the perfect souvenir during your visit, there are multiple vendors spread out around the Eiffel Tower, literally spread out. They have their wares on blankets all around the Eiffel Tower. They can be a bit exuberant about selling their wares. If that makes you uncomfortable, rest assured there are multiple gift shops in the Eiffel Tower and you will find the perfect souvenir. If that does make you uncomfortable, a simple no merci or avoiding eye contact can be very helpful. The first floor is my preferred floor. It's 57 meters high. It's 347 steps. You will find a gift shop, the Madame Brasserie restaurant, a bathroom, a glass floor for a fabulous view. There is also a snack and champagne bar if you would like to make a toast. There are chairs to relax and the view is exquisite. You can enjoy a cinema projection, rotating cultural exhibits, digital archives, replica artifacts, and a historic section of the spiral staircase once linking the second floor to the summit, which remains a notable feature with select segments having had been sold at auction in 1983. From the second floor, there is a bit less space, naturally. From the second floor of the Eiffel Tower, you can enjoy phenomenal views of Paris, making it a prime attraction. You can enjoy the view of landmarks such as the Grand Palais, the Louvre, Montmartre, the Seine River. Besides the panoramic view, you can enjoy another gift shop, the Jules Verne Michelin-starred restaurant overlooking the Champ de Mars. And don't miss the opportunity to sample macarons from the on-site shop. You can take the stairs all the way to the second floor. As I said, we did it with our children. It was very enjoyable. Now, the third floor, the little bitty floor at the top, is called the Summit. The view is spectacular, but I want you to know in advance that it can be wall-to-wall people and quite overwhelming. So depending on your level of claustrophobia or how much you like crowds or don't like crowds, I want you to know that in advance, especially if you're taking little ones. I myself prefer to see the Eiffel Tower from another monument, like the Arc de Triomphe, for example. I tell my guests, if they are short on time and trying to navigate how to cram as much from their bucket list into their time in the city as possible, going to the second floor is wonderful. Going to the first floor is wonderful. If you need to get out of there and move on to the next thing, I always remind them that you cannot see the Eiffel Tower from the Eiffel Tower. You cannot underestimate the cultural significance of this beautiful, beautiful piece of art as a tourist attraction, as a cultural icon, as a venue for events. Today is Bastille Day. If you tune in, you will see amazing fireworks being shot off around the Eiffel Tower. It's very, very patriotic and festive. Of course, that information can be found on the Eiffel Tower website. There are seasonal markets. There are temporary exhibits, of course, and every night there is a light show which illuminates the evening and the Eiffel Tower in sparkling lights. The lighting system was inaugurated on December 31st, 1985, and designed by lighting engineer Pierre Bidot. It featured 336 spotlights fitted with yellow-orange, high-pressure sodium bulbs. Now, starting every evening at sundown, the Eiffel Tower does its thing for the first 5 minutes of every hour. It's absolutely spectacular. Hundreds and hundreds of sparkling light bulbs. This goes on all the way until 1 a.m. best show you can see is at 1 a.m. because all the other lights of the Eiffel Tower are turned off and you just have the sparkling lights. But if you can't stay up till 1 a.m., don't worry. Those shows at 9 and 10 and 11 are going to be fantastic as well. Thank you so much for joining me for my very first Paris with Angela podcast. I invite you to visit dryfarmwines.com/Paris with Angela. Grab that extra bottle for a penny, whether you're subscribing or just trying a one-time order. And if you would like to come to Paris with me, grab one of those spots for 2025. At this time, there are 8 spots left, and you can find that by visiting parisianfarmgirl.com/Paris with Angela. All the links are appearing on the screen, and you can find those notes in the show notes as well. As the show progresses, we're going to decide if we are going to have corresponding blog posts or perhaps a private newsletter that you can subscribe to. It's not just going to be for travelers. It will be for those Francophiles and people that just love to hear about the city as well. In our next episodes, we are going to be looking at whether the right bank is better or the left bank is better, Paris cafe etiquette, and more. I will see you all again very soon. À bientôt.